The Tribunal's findings that Fife Health Board harassed Sandy Peggy is a huge win for a tenacious and courageous woman standing up for her sex-based rights. Safe to say that our preliminary thoughts are that aspects of the judgment are hugely problematic for women, leaving the onus on them to object when their privacy, dignity and safety are violated when men are given access to single-sex spaces.
Let's go live to Edinburgh. Join our political correspondent Amanda Acass, who's been following this case for us today. Amanda, and this is a complicated one because there's obviously the individual case involved. There's the judgments that the Supreme Court have made in relation to this really sensitive issue. And then there's the very fact that lots of these things, not least of all the NHS in Scotland, is a devolved matter too.
Yes, indeed. I thought I should start by taking you over some of the background to this specific case. So Sandy Peggy was a nurse at Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy. She'd worked there for some 30 years and she had complained several times in the autumn of 2023 about a transgender doctor, Dr. Beth Upton, being allowed to use the female changing rooms at the hospital. Now, Dr. Upton is a biological male but identifies as female. But then on Christmas Eve that year, the two of them got into some kind of altercation, a row, when they were both there attempting to use the changing rooms at the same time. And afterwards, Dr. Upton accused Ms. Peggy of bullying and harassment. She made a formal complaint against her. But then Dr. Peggy decided to take her employers, NHS Fife, as well as Dr. Upton, to the Employment Tribunal. And that is what the ruling is that we've had today, this 312-page judgment. And was based on a number of hearings that were held earlier this year in February and July. They called more than 20 witnesses. They had more than 3,000 pages of evidence to pour through. So it clearly was complicated. And what they ultimately concluded is that they've partially upheld her claim of harassment, but they have dismissed a number of her other claims, particularly about discrimination and victimisation, and all of her claims that were directly against Dr. Upton. But critically, they've upheld the claim of harassment in the sense that they say NHS Fife should have taken action when she initially complained about Dr. Upton's interim right to use the changing rooms, and they say that should have been suspended until the work rotas were changed so that the two of them would never be attempting to use the changing rooms at the same time. They also, as you said earlier, said that it took far too long to investigate her case. But the broader question, as you say, has huge ramifications because it really is a case that became so high profile because it gets to the heart of the really fraught rows that have been waged for so many years about the conflicting rights between trans rights and women's rights, particularly a big issue here in Scotland. Now, the tribunal itself didn't say that it was wrong that Dr. Upton should have been allowed to use that female changing room, but that the hospital should have acted differently when Sandra Peggy complained about it. As you heard her lawyer there highlighting earlier, that's not something that has gone down very well with her legal team and gender critical campaigners who say it puts the onus on a woman to complain about this situation, which seems rather to go against the spirits of the Supreme Court ruling earlier this year, which found that that sex was a matter of biology under the Equalities Act. But clearly we're still waiting for the government to issue their guidance onto how public bodies should be interpreting that law. And earlier, the chair of the Labour Party, Anna Turley, was talking about this and insisted that that guidance is going to come out in several weeks' time.
We've had the Supreme Court judgment, and the reality is we now know there is clarity in terms of the law on this situation. So the government is going to be bringing forth its code of conduct, its code of practice for government to make sure that the law is absolutely clear and implemented across public services. It's really important that we get this legally absolutely correct and that we make sure that there is no room for any misinterpretations.